We did it.
Yay!
Hey, you guys, it's Monday, and we are here with Motivation to Move on Monday. My name is Theresa Horne from Sisterhood of Strong, and I'm super excited today because I have a guest with me, Miss Zakiya Kyles. I didn't even actually think about a possible introduction, so I'm going to let you do that. But first of all, before we get started into that, thank you for joining me. And today is the first day in a series we are doing, sharing our health journeys. So, this is going to be a conversation, and I'm really excited about it because it's something that I've wanted to do for a while. I was actually, okay, so if I really think about it, I've been wanting to do it since I was a teenager. I used to want to be a journalist. I'll tell you the story, Zakiya. So I used to want to be a journalist, and when I went to college, that is journalism is what I was my major at first. But I went to Howard University, and so and I used to look up to Oprah Winfrey. And then one time I saw her interviewing some people after a fire, and she asked them some really tough questions that were informative, but I felt like it was the wrong time. And I thought she did a good job of asking the questions, but it was the timing. I was like, I would not want to do that to somebody. Um,
Yeah.
and so at that point, I was like, no, that's not how I want to get information across. And so my focus shifted and everything. But that idea of telling people's stories, helping people share their stories in their own timing and in their own way is something that I've always wanted to do. So today, like I officially step back into that dream, and we're going to start with
Yeah.
you, Zakiya. So that's pretty exciting. So
Yeah.
let's start by just having you introduce yourself and just tell a little bit about you. And if you can remember, do you remember the first time we met? If you can tell us that.
Well, of course, of course, of course, of course. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to share in one of my favorite places and spaces, Sisterhood of the Strong. And so, this is indeed a delight. Wow, it's so funny when you were talking. I was like, we have a whole lot in common, more than what I thought. Because I was a broadcast journalism major. So thus the reason why I talk so much. Had the admiration for Oprah as well. I wanted to even open like my own TV station, and also a HBCU grad, Grambling class of '98. Yeah, so yeah, so yeah, that is so funny when you're saying. I just started chuckling inside. But the interesting thing is that although when we met in the summer of 2019, I think it was. Yeah, it was 2019, and it was at the Color Your Soul retreat in Oklahoma. I was like, there is something so unique yet so serene and peaceful about this lady, this sister that I've met here. She's very quiet. She's very observant, but she is something special. She really is. And so it was, I was very, very blessed to have met many phenomenal sisters at that opportunity that was afforded to us, as well as being able to even stay connected, this long. And that's now going on, well, it's past 2 years now. And so, I'm always very thankful for God divine relationships and connections. And so, just quickly about me. Again, I'm Zakiya Kyles, and I'm founder of Queenly and Confident Brands. We are a personal development, a faith-based, let me say that, personal development firm for women, where we basically provide motivation, inspiration, and celebration to help women discover their royal lives. And ultimately, what we want them to do is discover the royalty that's within them. And so, we've been very blessed to do that in numerous ways. And one of them is through health and wellness, with me sharing my journey as a as a plus size, a woman who would be labeled in the medical industry as obese woman. And interesting enough, this is Obesity Wellness Week. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. That is something. Yeah. I hadn't even realized that. That is
yeah,
really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So, you know what? I got lots of questions that came from that, but I'm going to um I'm going to start with I'm gonna write this down so I don't forget.
Sure.
um, but I'm going to start with the what you said about the medical establishment labeling
Hmm.
us. Actually, I guess right now I don't have the obese. Right now I'm in the overweight category, but that when they give us those little beautiful labels, they attach it
Oh
to
yeah.
BMI, right? It's our weight in our height. Um, so I'm in that right on that cusp of overweight and obese. And I'm gonna share with you guys, and Zakiya, I'm not asking you to share this, but when we talk about these terms, it's based on numbers, right? It's not based
Oh
on
yeah.
how strong your heart looks in an echiogram or your EKG or how many push-ups you can do. It's based on height, how tall you are, and your weight, which
Hmm.
what we know is not the biggest indicator of health, but it is easy for them to measure. So
Yeah.
when we say obese, when we say overweight, when we say morbidly obese, those are numbers. And I think, and there's a lot we could say about that, but I want to make sure that we understand that a number is not your biggest indicator of health. So when you get that number, or when you have those terms from your doctor, they do not determine your health outcomes. They are just one number in a continuum of what you can call your health. And it might be something you don't even want to measure or include, but
Absolutely.
just know it is one number, one piece of data, and there are many pieces of data. So all that to say, when did you when did you first hear your doctor say those words, obese, and how did they make you feel?
Well, I will say this. I probably never heard the word obese itself until some years later. I've always been a heavier girl. I was a heavier child. Um, but I always heard the term overweight, which to me is that same class, that same category, and it does initially put different uh, thoughts in your head. It also may have a tendency to even be an attack, so to speak, on maybe who you are as a person, your different body makeup, composition, all of those things, because of the fact that in this society, and although we've gotten better over the years with what they call fat acceptance in the influencer world, it still has a way to go, just because of the biases and the judgment that goes with that. In my own personal journey, especially when it comes to medical doctors, because I am not one that wants to go to them, but I have, had to really uh, stand very strong and stand very firm with things as related to my health when there were and are some challenges because of the fact sometimes that stigma that's associated with someone who is overweight can just be either a hypochondriac, or they always want to give you the label of, oh well, just lose, or this advice, mindless advice as far as I'm concerned, of just lose weight. Well, heck, that's easier said than done. And I remember moving back to Louisiana around, I think it was around maybe 2016 when I got here that fall, and just being very frustrated with the medical system, which I will not lie, I'm still in that medical frustration right now. But God has continued to sustain and persevere, because and I have seen it time and time again because of the fact that I did my part. I'm doing my part as it relates to that. Of course, there's even more that can be, dealt with and cleaned up with. But yes, but when you begin to look at how the statistics and things when it actually comes to people who are overweight and how they're treated by the medical industry, it's enough to just make you want to holler, like Marvin Gaye says, because of the fact fat is not necessarily associated with these things that people have a tendency to think. Because I'm a plus size woman, overweight, BBW, whatever you want to call it, but I work out. I try to watch what I eat. I believe in an active and healthy lifestyle. I'm not lazy. All of these different stigmas that sometimes come with being, a heavier person. That is not the norm, and I continue to like defy the norm. Um, with all of the things I do. And it's because on the opposite side of what they don't see, um, there's a life, that's being lived out. It just happens to be lived out in someone with a larger frame.
Right. Yeah. That is so good. Yeah. I remember for myself the first time I saw, and it was actually morbidly obese
Oh
that
yeah.
I saw and I saw it in my chart. And I don't even remember how I ended up seeing it in my chart, but it wasn't at my regular doctor. It was at my certified nurse midwife, that and who I preferred to see for everything.
Mhm.
um, but I saw it in the chart and I was just like, well, that word morbid, I was like, well, what does that mean? What are you saying? So for me, that was the first time I saw it. And that it was it was jarring, right? For me, it was like,
Well, it was, 'cause I went and looked it up too, and
yeah,
it was like, woo,
right,
because I wasn't familiar with that term.
right,
And I
yeah,
remember seeing that, and I was like, "What in the heck is morbid?" And it's associated with darkness, gruesome,
yeah,
uh, death.
exactly,
That particular thing,
yeah,
and it's like, really, is this how we want to associate it with? And now that we're talking, I know that the word like mortgage is connected to a morgue and mortuary. I need to go look up that association to see if that word morbid is associated with that too, because more likely because of how our language is formed, it probably is associated with it as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Right. Yep. So that was for me that was the starting point of, okay, that I want that gone. Like I want that I want
Mhm.
that gone. I don't want that
Mhm.
there. And I just as we say that, when we use words, we attach ourselves to them.
Yes.
Or we can attach ourselves to them. And so I guess even as I say that, just because uh, the medical establishment might use that word, don't attach to that word.
Mhm.
So next, because the next thing we're going to talk about now is our health goals. And you talked about all of the things that you're doing to live a healthy lifestyle. And I know for you, because we know that we have a purpose, we have there are things in our lives that God has ordained us to do. We have a mandate, we have things that we're called to walk out, and those are important to us. So we want to live healthy because of them, because we have goals, right? Um, how did you talked about all the things that you do, that your movement and just different things like that. How did you decide to do those things? How did you um, decide to make those things a priority in your life?
Oh wow. So I want to say the initial part of my journey maybe started back around 2009. I think at that time I was 315-ish pounds or something.
Okay.
And I was like, child, if you don't do something, you ain't gonna be around here, you know. And it was also around that time too, that the Lord just kind of started talking to me a little bit more about the work He's called me to do, and I heard Him say very clearly to me, and I've shared this with other people, that you can't be called to the nations if you're gonna catch everything that's in the nations. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And so after a while, after I kind of just paid a little bit more attention, it made sense because we take for granted, and if Corona has not taught us anything else, we should be well aware of wanting to have healthy immune systems, and so if I don't have a healthy immune system, then the Lord can't send me to the Amazons. If my body is not what it needs to be. And let me say that, but not from the physical look, the aesthetics, because that's quick to get caught up in. But if it does not have the stamina, and I don't have the physical capacity to go over, to reach, to need to serve, and you could just be standing up, speaking and talking. That's what God's called you to do. It takes a lot of work to stand up, to speak, to present to crowd. And so He began to just start talking to me on that, and that led me down a trail of actually investing, in trainers, learning a little bit more about food, asking the questions and things that I needed to know as related to food. During that time, I lived in Atlanta, and so there were numerous resources and things that were available to me, and people were asked. A really good, robust health system with Kaiser, with my insurance company at that time. So they provided all these classes, free stuff that I would, go to and learn a little bit more, having a chance to sit with dietitians and ask questions and things. All of these things, sometimes culturally that Black people don't do. I was the Black face that was in it because it was like, I need to know,
Right. Yeah.
and then, I guess further motivation along the years came as I began to see what the effects of obesity, and how it played out in my family's members' lives. Like my mom suffers from arthritis and some other arthritis. And
Mhm.
while, I'm 47, and I have a touch of that, I refuse to be beat by that. And so, as much as you wear us out with them weights, all I can always think about is that, that I'm going to be able to stand up straight. I'm going to have a strong core, I'm going to have strong arms, I'm going to be able to carry my own groceries and things when I want to, and
Yes.
all of those, all of that really begins to take place. Now, 2011, I will never forget. I went into, I I had I had slipped off my journey, and in 2011, I'll never forget going. It was like December or something, going into LA Fitness on North Druid Hills. And it's funny because I get all these are defining moments in my journey, and talking to the guy who was over trainers and was like, I need to get a trainer. And I said, I don't need a pump trainer because will I won't do anything. And he started laughing at me. But he was like, okay. He said, well, let's see what you can do. Let's see what you're physical. He was surprised because even though I was not doing as much as I had been before, I hadn't like fully slipped off, to my surprise as well. And so from that point, I was very, very blessed to be able to really be paired with some pretty good trainers, who mainly a lot of with the physical, the physical component, and actually uh, introducing me and getting me to try new things. Like for instance, like the stair machine, like spin, cycling and things. I love cycling, water aerobics, all of those particular things, because those are things that I just had not necessarily availed myself to. And I am a big believer that if you really have true skin in the game, that sometimes you need accountability there. And for me, my money is accountability. So I'm going to show up because I don't have money to waste. And
Yeah.
so if whatever form of accountability works best, I think that it behooves us to, maybe not buy as much Starbucks, maybe not buy as much makeup or whatever it is, so that you can make these investments, because it is I think part of self-love, and also the building of our confidence is also us being able to make investments, and deposits with people who are more skilled and have more knowledge than we ourselves do. And so That has been those have been very pivotal moments in my journeys, from the whole ideal of of learning not to do the scale, and um, even too with pictures, taking pictures, but then stepping back and like, girl, you have been doing something,
Yeah.
because all of the things, the messages that the world will give and will say to you will have a tendency to get you off track if your mind is not focused and you're not in a community too of people, whether it's virtually or in person, who are actually there to support, what it is that you are trying to do.
Yeah, that is so good. Yeah. So you mentioned that you've worked with different trainers before and
Hmm.
had different experiences before. So that brings me to us. So, so how did you decide to start working with Sisterhood of Strong?
You will find this hard to believe, but I had to get over my prejudices with female trainers. Yeah. I
Okay.
had to get, yeah, because I had female trainers who I didn't think were that effective, and I could punk them out. Yeah, I could punk them out. Basically, I could say, "Oh, my left toe is hurting. My toenail hurt." They go, "Oh, okay, And one of the things I began to find out is that because of the fact sometimes I was a larger frame, they would want to kind of sometimes have, you know, mercy on me, or wanted to give me outs that I didn't need. And the Lord was speaking to me too about that with manipulation.
Mm,
Yeah. And so, as opposed to going in and doing those things that are best for me. So, uh, being able to let down those prejudices and those biases, and yeah, I'm putting that out here because that's been a part of my journey.
yeah.
Was one of the reasons of why I was able to go ahead and to fully be able to accept what you offer and to embrace it for myself, even at a time in my life where now, uh, I can't do some of the things I used to do.
Right.
And so it's like in many cases, I almost feel like God provided like a soft pillow for me to land. And with that soft pillow has been the sisterhood of the strong, but basically saying, okay, you got your stuff right here. You got the people that are right here. You got that community. Many of these are people you've known for a while. Just come on in here. Y'all need to do this together. And so, I was very, 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 very blessed to be able to, start with you. And that was with, it was a special or something you had. And we initially started talking. And when and it's so funny because when we started that, and I'm like, whew, I'm feeling overwhelmed, too much accountability, But but the thing is, it's like what I needed. And as I said earlier, I'm a big believer in, making the investment that you need to make. And so it might be, for Zakiya, because I will hear people tell me all the time, well, why do you have to pay for that? Well, you shouldn't have to pay for that. Well, it's the same reason I'm paying for that. Just like you're paying for somebody to do your hair every week. Just like the same thing that, you're paying to get, a car. You want this car or what particular car, whatever. My ultimate goal, that thing that I want, it has to do with optimal health. And so I know that Zakiya Kyles has to put some skin in the game, and that skin has to be with her money,
Right.
in conjunction with what she's, what the doctors are, suggesting, and those things that are good for her. And so, um, being able to be, in that space, especially, thank God, the virtual space that you offer through, excuse me, through the shut-ins that we had was there, because it basically gave me that place to go and to work out, and not having to be concerned about what I might contract or whatever at the gym. And so that was that was comforting for me, and it also again was accountability and me being able to commit to doing the work that I need to do. It limited the excuses, because even at that, sometimes you might have a gym membership, but getting in that car, getting over there and going may be tough, you know. And I know plenty of people who give monthly donations to gyms and
Yes.
don't go.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned the accountability and the overwhelming, and I remember um, after one of our sessions, I was like, okay, let's set up for a couple of days, and he was like, "Ooh, I got to see you 2 times this week."
Yeah,
I do, I do remember.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh, I do remember that. Yes. Uh,
yeah.
so
Because you know why, Theresa? Because I will tell you this: the it your approach is non-confrontational for the most part. For the most part, sometimes when you need to, you will be like, "Oh, well, do you want da da da?" And you just have to fall in line. Like, yeah, no, you know.
yeah.
But it made me own up to where I'm raggedy at. It made me own up to not just raggedy with, you know, with working out or with food, but even to some places in my life emotionally and spiritually, you know, as well. And like with this recent thing that we're doing with the intensive, it has really made me own up with the whole idea of me being able to fully embrace the love of God for me. And the whole idea of that, if I am fully embracing his love for me, I'm fully embracing what he believes and what he has allowed me to know what's the best thing to care for me in my body. And so that has been, you know, I think I shared with you like last week that's been a big message over the last 2 weeks about God and his love and identity and things of that sort with me, because you're not going to just get that at any random place. I will tell you, I didn't get that with trainers that I've had, you know, before. And so it does differentiate you from the regular training, and why kingdom health training and health coaching, and I'm just not going to say Christian health coaching, but kingdom health coaching is so vital and so important for people in this, and I feel in this particular season. With all that we are faced with in society and the world at large, the whole message of kingdom needs to be consistent. I feel you need to have consistent patterns of that in your life in this particular season that God has us in, because it keeps him at the forefront, and it puts him in the forefront, and it puts us behind him, because as he goes, then we go. You know, and
Yes.
I was listening to Dr. Tony Evans this morning, and he says most of the time we are all in this space where it's like, okay, God, I want to go here, here, and here. Okay, we going, you know, as opposed to us saying, God, where we going, you
Yeah.
know? And now it's like, oh, check, but I say, because that's something now that I'm very cognizant of God, where we going, and following him.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. That is so good, because that is, I think, one of the biggest things that I can see differently in even in myself, and then I see it in my clients, is there's so many messages about our health from, social media, from our doctors and all that stuff. And as Christians, we're like, God is the center of everything. But when we shift to kingdom,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
understand that God
yeah.
loves us, but has a plan for all the areas of our lives. When we take
Yes,
things out of
yes,
when we take things out of the boxes and we give it all to God, we realize, oh, there's a plan for this, and there's
yeah,
God has, oh, He's got a plan for all these things, right?
yeah,
So we
yeah.
have our
Like
heart,
all this.
yeah, our heart in alignment. We can seek Him for our health plan, right?
Yes.
So And so that's what we're doing. We're looking to God for the health plan. What are the markers that I can look at, God, that that are going to motivate me? And like we said, it might not be the scale. It might be how many push-ups, or you know healthier eating, just everything. And that's what we're pulling together. So we could talk. We could keep talking, and I think this has been such a good conversation. Um, I guess let's end on, I wrote down community, because one of the things that is really good and is very, very kingdom is we are not designed to live in isolation, that we thrive
Mhm.
in community. And Sisterhood of Strong, we have a amazing community of women who are building a healthy lifestyle together. And so that's one important thing. I want to ask you, though, before we go ahead and get off of here, what is, I guess, what is one thing you want to share with everybody listening? And I want to say hello to everybody. I've seen you guys in the comments, and I appreciate you so much for being here. What is one thing you want to share with our sisters mm, who are feeling hesitant about accountability, who are hopping from program to program, or have failed to make a real commitment yet? What would you like to share with them?
Um, just like when a rabbit hops, a rabbit hops from one point to the next, um, in hopes that they're getting somewhere. Um, they may get there, but eventually they're gonna start hopping again. Um, I view fad diets, trends in the health industry, and things in that same manner. However, when we choose to do a health and wellness according to that of the kingdom, it's different. It's different in the fact that you may hear terminology or something, that sounds different, but the ultimate is just like you said, is that God is the center. Because if He is the center, then that means that there are plans for this. And whereas sometimes we feel like um, compartmentalizing parts of our life, helps us to get there fast, or maybe help us to achieve these goals, is not. Because yes, if He has established the plans that He has for us, and it continues to work out, and it is going to work out for our good, we have to trust that process. And it is a process that we do daily with the renewing of our minds. um, because that is key. And I believe that when you begin to talk about kingdom health, the whole idea of looking at it holistic, because regardless of what the world wants you to think, that ain't come from me. All that came from the word. But but
Yes.
but it all starts with Jesus. It all starts with Him, who reminds us that when we are at our weakest, He is strong. You
Yeah.
know, and so therefore, and this is another outlet. God has allowed me to boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of God may be personified and lived out in my life. And
Yes.
so I'm just very grateful to you, Theresa, and for the work that you do, uh, not just for me, but to women everywhere. Being able to associate, to relate to all areas of this journey, and how you allow God to use you, and you avail yourself to us for our total healing. And I'm just grateful. I'm
Oh, thank you so much. And man, and
grateful.
that was such a good ending summary, because we're right on the same page. This is all about glorifying God. And when we are at our weakest, he is strongest. And for me,
Yes.
with this business, and the
Yes.
more I understand that and submit that, it's he's glorified, and that's what
Yeah.
we want,
Yeah.
right? That's what we
Yeah.
want. So, it's amazing. It's just glory to God for all of it. I'm so thankful to have you as a client, Zakiya. I love working with you, and I'm so
Thank
excited
you.
to see where God is going to catapult you to see your next. Because
God bless you.
y'all know for me, if you talk to me, God shows me pictures, and
Yeah.
so I'm just excited to see what's coming, what's next. So if you are watching and listening, and you want to see how you can work with me, go ahead to the website sisterhoodofstrong.com, work with me, and you can set up a 15-minute session where we talk about your goals and see if it might work for us to work together, or how you may be able to shift your focus and
Yes.
start your journey. So thank you again, Zakiya, for chatting with me today. You guys, this is Sisterhood of Strong, Motivation to Move. We will be here every Monday this month, talking to different people about their particular health journeys. And we hope that you'll be able to join us. We'll see you next Monday.